This is The Legend of Hoopman, written by Michael T. Gregory, narrated by Marcus Mulenga. I would like to thank Ryan Reeves for having faith in me. Appreciate you, brother. I would like to thank Evan Trumader for his hard work and support. You have a tremendous future in front of you, and I hope you get to use your writing talent for a very long time. Special thank you to Kyle Ross at Blueprint Press. Thanks to you and your team, this book has come to fruition. Finally, thank you to Lori and the girls for all their support. I couldn't write without you. All my love. Chapter 1. The crowd had assembled in a tree-covered patio behind the Alamo, an appropriate site for a military retirement. Sergeant Major Nathan Hawkins stepped to the podium and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and help me recognize one of the finest soldiers our nation has to offer. Or should I say, had to offer. The former Chief Warrant Officer 4, now retired, Charlton Chuck Hayes." The assembled crowd of 50 guests and fellow soldiers jumped to their feet and gave Mr. Hayes a standing ovation. Chuck Hayes had just finished 20 years of an illustrious career as a cyber intelligence analyst in the United States Army. 20 years of constant travel across the United States of America and in dozens of foreign lands. 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears that included 100 emotional highs matched by an equal number of depressing lows. 20 years of ordinary, selfless military service. Yet, Chuck Hayes was no ordinary man. There were more than a few things that Chuck was good at. At 39 years old, he still maintained a physique that made men half his age envious. On one hand, he was trained in martial arts and hand-to-hand weapons. Chuck felt the training made his hands quicker. On the other hand, he was skilled at the use of computers, integrating computer hardware, using multiple software programs and cyber telecommunications. The latter specialties were indicative of his kinder, gentler side. Chuck Hayes was the epitome of the techno-warrior. The Army had taken 20 years to make him what he was. He was a man whose time to leave had come. There was one other thing Chuck Hayes could do exceptionally well. It was the only thing that made Chuck somewhat of a legend. That one thing was play basketball. For over 30 years, it was the only constant in his life. Chuck had played hoop in 4 continents, 32 states, and at last count, 23 countries, including Cuba, Korea, 6 in Africa, and all of Europe except Liechtenstein. Chuck Hayes could handle the ball, throw every kind of pass, and shoot from anywhere with either hand. On the court, he always covered the other team's best defender, and usually departed the floor with great respect from the men he had played against. No longer the jumper he once was, Chuck's technique for defense and rebounding was based solely on position and tenacity. On the basketball court, Chuck was relentless. Chuck's military career was not without downfalls. Through the constant moves and ever-changing duty assignments, Chuck only had 2 regrets. First, he felt he didn't have the courage to make his marriage work. And secondly, he never finished getting his college degree. Chuck had managed to complete his associate's degree in cybersecurity through Army night courses, but he wanted more. It was not that he felt he was required to have a degree to prove he was equal to anyone else. After working with thousands of men and women with and without degrees, he understood a piece of paper didn't guarantee intelligence or character. Having that piece of paper indicated something positive about the person. It was a sign of personal accomplishment. And now that Chuck
Sample complete. Ready to continue?